Hello, Dr. Ledbetter, President of the Board and board members. Today we're going to bring you an update on career and technical education in Midlothian ISD. This aligns with Standard 1, Benchmark B, summarizing programs and initiatives for the board throughout the year as one of the board adopted priorities. CTE is defined by the Texas Education Agency, and they have aligned 14 different programs of study. Midlothian ISD offers 13 of those 14 programs of study to students. The only one we don't offer is Energy. That was a new program that was defined late in the summer, this past summer, and we were not able to put that into action for the current school year. But as always, we will look at program offerings moving into the next school year for course selection and gauge student interest in each of those. Architecture and construction, again, we offer that to students, both HVAC and plumbing courses, but there was not enough demand there to add that as a course offering for our students this year. Those programs are divided into pathways. You can see here all of the pathways that we offer to students at both Midlothian High School and at Heritage High School. And then this year, with the addition of the mile, the courses there in blue are courses that freshmen and sophomores take at their home campus. And then junior and senior year, those courses are offered at the mile, and we'll give you a full overview of that here in a second. Speaking of which, I'm going to have Shelley Blaylock share with you some updates on construction and where we are with students being in the building for courses at the mall.
Good evening, board. It's great to get to share with you some of our advancements at the mall, and it was such an exciting time to get to have our ribbon cutting this past week. So as we have gotten this year open, as you've already heard, we've had plenty of accolades from our students telling us we've gotten it right. Now we want to make sure that we're preparing for the future. And so as you can see, we've discussed many times the programs that we're offering here in our CTE pathways. We did add video game design as a result of some scheduling opportunities, and that has become a really wonderful addition to our team here. So Mr. Nathan Pettyjohn is also teaching that course, as well as video game production. That is really fun. So we're really pleased with the pathways that are in our building and as each one is growing. So let's look at those in depth. So you can see here what our student enrollment is by each program. We had some strong goals, and in spite of COVID and scheduling and getting our building off the ground with shuttles running, we are very pleased with each of our course numbers, but we are already talking about the next school year, how we can begin recruiting at campuses and which programs we want to build a stronger foundation and really help our students and parents understand what each pathway it consists of and how we want to grow that. Cybersecurity most definitely is one of those as we begin to strengthen that curriculum and work through what that pathway can offer them as graduates coming out of cybersecurity. We believe those numbers will continue to increase as well. So we're very pleased with our current scheduling and hope to see our numbers grow in the future. Expect that. Looking at entrepreneurship, it's a really exciting time in entrepreneurship. So we have our Mentor Match Day coming up starting the week of October the 5th. We have done 2 trainings in the past week for our mentors and are continuing to seek those individuals to work side by side with our student groups and help them grow toward their first pitch, which they just did on their own without a mentor. And I believe that we are going to see a lot of growth happen through these groups. So you can see here the content that they're talking about in each course and each unit as they're going through this, and they will be meeting their mentors shortly so that they can go through their business plan for the entire year, working up to their final pitch, which will happen in May. In culinary arts, our students are loving their new industrial kitchen. We are working on kitchen safety and sanitation, including having the Midlothian Fire Department come and do a kitchen safety lesson in the next week. And our students are learning how to do things like make vinaigrettes. They've learned how to make potato soup and to even cook grilled chicken. So we are really loving the smells that come out of here. But more importantly, we are truly appreciating the content knowledge that our chef is bringing to our students and excited to see a continuum starting with our freshman courses all the way through our senior year so that these students will be most prepared to open our bistro that we anticipate will be a very popular aspect with our public. In our cybersecurity area, Mr. Nathan Pettyjohn was recently highlighted by Cisco as a teacher to spotlight the importance of this curriculum and cybersecurity. We're very pleased with our students' feedback on the quality of this course. And as you can see, our students this year are working in 2 out of the 3 courses. And next year, we will start to have students eligible to graduate with their certification. We will now soon be bringing in industry professionals to talk to them about the depth of this pathway and how it can impact them when they leave high school. Aerospace engineering and civil engineering are truly getting to branch out in their very large makerspace. You can see here our students putting application into practice as they are exploring the history of aviation. This week, they even are building their gliders and will be doing their test next week. So our aerospace program has the opportunity to grow and expand in our new space, as well as our civil engineering. Our students are using our Revit software in our computer labs, as well as building home models in the classroom to put that application into practice and to look at it through a software side. And lastly, our video game design students just think this is the coolest ever. So they're learning how to make sprites that are their icons that work throughout their game, working toward full game creation that their fellow classmates can give them feedback within that curriculum.
And then included here is just a video for you to see our communications department worked with the staff at the Mile to prepare a video so we could push that out. And it's been on social media if you haven't seen it already, is linked here for you to be able to watch. So now that we've talked about our programs and where they're offered with the importance of the addition of the Mile and those programs that feed from both Heritage and Midlothian High School into the Mile, let's take a look back at last year's data. So certifications for 2019, just as a reminder, there are 3 different kinds of categories that we kind of lump our certifications into. The first are Perkins certifications. That's on a federal stance where the federal government recognizes certifications. Industry-based certifications are at a state level, and those are included on TEA's accountability and count for students to have a CCMR point, a college career military readiness point for A to F accountability. And then there are things that are not on either one of those lists, and we just call those good for students. They are really great for students to add to their resume or to put on a job application to help show their employability readiness. So here's a full list of all of the certifications students earned last year at both Midlothian High School and Heritage. So you can see there are things like CNA, EMT, OnShape is an engineering certification, several different certifications around child abuse prevention or OSHA certifications. We're really proud of all of the certifications that our students earned. You can see there a total of 910 certifications earned by students this past year. When you break that down into the different categories, you can see the column there for PER, that's Perkins certifications. The IBC list are the ones that count towards A to F accountability for our campuses. And then, of course, everything that we do and all the certifications offered to students are good for kids, and they can put those on their transcripts or on their applications and resumes. So you'll see several different columns here. Anything highlighted in orange are things that were impacted by COVID. Those certifications were scheduled to happen in April and May of last year, and because of the closure, we were not able to offer those certifications face-to-face. So our welding students might not have had a full opportunity to come in and demonstrate their welds to earn their certification. Same with our cosmetology. Those students were impacted by COVID and the closure that happened there. So while we're really proud of the 910 certifications that students earned, we do recognize that there were some areas that were impacted for students last year, and if they haven't graduated, we'll go back and offer the certifications again to them this year and recapture those for those students that are still with us. Here's a summary by type. You can see the Perkins Effectiveness Report and the IBC certifications. Sometimes those are different. This year it happened to be that the certifications for each of those applied to both kinds of certifications. So 19 at Heritage High School and 39 at Midlothian High School. And then everything that was good for kids, that total of 910 across the district. This shows you growth over the years. So starting with 2016, we had 3 certifications on the Perkins Effectiveness Report. 2017, 16 certifications. 18, 19, you can see the certifications there. And then 19, 20. Again, our 58 Perkins and IBC certifications this past year were impacted because of COVID and the closure there. We weren't able to offer the welding and then a couple of Texas beef cattle nutrition certifications. And then our cosmetology certifications were also impacted. I think the thing that's really good for our kids, though, is you see in that column for that everything that's good for students, that 910 is a huge number, and it is a lot of different options for students to put on their resumes and applications demonstrating employability readiness. We have also added a measure this year to look at our Capstone experiences for students. We are defining Capstone experience as kind of that culminating experience for students inside of their CTE programs. So these things are internships or a job that they go to during their practicum course, panel presentations like our incubator or our engineering courses where they present to a panel of judges or a panel of engineers and then have to defend their work in front of that panel. And then student enterprises, and those are businesses that are run by students. That would be our bistro that's open for culinary. So students in any of those programs that have that full Capstone experience their senior year are included in this metric. You can see here the data from 18-19, 19-20, and our projection for 2020-2021. There's marked growth there. This year we're projecting 121 Capstone experiences for students at Midlothian High School and 74 at Heritage High School. Mile students are included in their home campus in this metric, so know that the students that are in entrepreneurship at the Mile are included from Midlothian High School and Heritage High School in these numbers. This just shows you that summary in a different view and the growth over the year. So 121 at MHS, 74 at Heritage for a total of 195 Capstone experiences for students, preparing them to enter into the workforce. Every year we survey students about their experience in our CTE classes. This year's data was really positive. You can see here, this just shows you all the different courses that we offered. We surveyed across the programs of study and across different pathways. Every course, students were offered a survey. The first question we asked is, did you study the material that you expected to cover going into the class? And you can see here that 95% of students agreed with that question, which is good, showing that our courses are aligned with what students would expect in each of the pathways. This next question asked students if the coursework would help them learn new skills that would prepare them for college or career life endeavors. And here 94% or 96% reported that they would. They agreed strongly with that statement. The next question asked students if they would use their CTE courses as part of their major coursework in college, and 50% of students agreed with that. So that's a win for both directions for me. It's just as much a win for a student to try something out and decide it's not what they want to do in college as it is for a student to try something out and find a passion and connect with that and pursue that into higher education. So either way you answer this question, it's a win for me because you're learning more about yourself and learning more about what you want to pursue post-secondary. We asked students if they would recommend their course to other students, and 96% of students agreed with that and said yes, they would recommend their courses to their peers. We asked if students would be interested in taking another more advanced course like the course they had taken, and 74% said yes, so we thought that was really good. There might be students who had taken a course and found out that it wasn't a passion of theirs and wanted to explore something else, so we're okay with that, but we love that students want to continue taking courses inside of our CTE programs. Now taking a look at partnerships for 2019-20. We worked closely with communications to develop a CTE promotional video that's linked here. If you haven't had a chance, I'd encourage you to go watch that. We also held several partnership breakfasts over the course of the year where we invited local business and industry in by cluster areas, or these photos are from a charrette where we asked for feedback on building design and aesthetics for the Mile. But always including partners from our local business and industry is important as we're making decisions and making sure that we're staying on target in providing programming to students. We also had campus and parent town halls. So Ms. Blaylock and I visited every campus in the district and presented about our CTE programs and shared all the opportunities available to students, both at the Mile and at the home campuses, MHS and Heritage. And then we also had special parent meetings about each of the programs, so students and parents could come hear more about different course offerings that were going to be added at the Mile. In October, we had a CTE breakfast where we really had a strong push to recruit volunteers and partners on the CTE journey. Buckley Oil hosted the breakfast for us at Blainstone. We had over 150 people in attendance. It was really a good launch into asking local business and industry to join us on this journey and come on as mentors or curriculum coaches or guest speakers and really kind of pour their energy and expertise back into our students in Midlothian. And then just this past week, we had our first mentor training for mentors who have signed on to coach our entrepreneurship students in Incubator EDU. It was great to have them in this space and to give them their official training so that they can start coaching students starting that first week of October with their mentor match that Ms. Blaylock mentioned. In our Pre-K to Professionals initiative, we had our first ever CTE poster contest this year. Our Pre-K through 5 students drew a poster about what they wanted to be when they grow up. We were ready to announce those, and then COVID happened, so we announced our winners virtually. You can see here our CTE advisory board going through the posters and making selections on winners. It was a really tough day on them. They thought they were coming just to provide feedback, and I put them to work, and they talked really often about how hard it was to make choices about which poster would win. So it was a fun experience for them, and they got to see a sneak peek at some of the aspirations of our students. These are some of our winners. You can see career goals here from zookeeper to nurse to interior designer, police officers, architects. Midlothian ISD students have high aspirations, and we hope to help connect them to courses in their middle school and high school careers that help them pursue these as interests. Moving into middle school, our career courses really work to educate students on all of the different course offerings in high school, and then as 8th graders, they come to our course fair. These are pictures from our course fair this past year. It was really cool seeing all those 8th graders come in and our upper level students being able to share about their experience in the class and help promote what they do and educate the 8th grade students on what courses they should take as they come into high school. We also held our first ever round of mock interviews in the fall. We were scheduled for a second round of mock interviews in the spring before COVID caused closure. But in our fall mock interviews, we had over 50 volunteers come in and hold mock interviews with our students. We had over 150 students. Most of them did 2 rounds of interviews. Some of them did 3. So it was close to 300 interviews that our students had with our volunteers. So they would sit down and interview with our volunteer. They would have a 10 to 15-minute interview, and then the volunteer would immediately turn around and give them feedback on their presentation and how to present themselves or adjustments to the resume. And then the student would go process that information and come right back for a second interview where they could implement that feedback from our volunteers. I got a lot of really positive feedback from students on this, and they asked for a second round. So that's when we scheduled the spring mock interviews. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that, but we will have those going again this year, even if we have to do it in a virtual platform. And then the other piece of Pre-K to Professionals is, kids taking their skills and applying it in a variety of settings. Here you can see our students running film at the football games. You can see ag students demonstrating their skill set with projects. This comes in a variety of scenarios depending upon which program of study students are in. I also wanted to share with you what we've done with our teachers this year. So in 2019-20 at iPlan Days, our CTE teachers received training from a special ed consultant with Region 10, specific to programs, CTE programs and special ed students, how to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those students in our classrooms. And then Dale Carnegie volunteered time donated to our teachers where they came in and presented a special session and training for our teachers on resume writing and interview skills, making sure that when we are preparing our students for those mock interviews, that our teachers are sharing the most relevant and up-to-date trends in regards to resumes and interviews. We're also proud to announce that this past year in 1920, both high schools recognized CTE teachers as Teacher of the Year. So Miss Megan Lynch was the Teacher of the Year for Midlothian High School, and Marcus Huff was the Teacher of the Year for Heritage High School. It's really cool that our teachers' peers are recognizing them as outstanding teachers on the campus. And what better way to end the year than to have both campuses choose CTE teachers to recognize in this way. Of course, these photos were all taken before COVID hit, so there wasn't a need for masks then. So we're in compliance there. Don't worry about that. But we're proud of our teachers for being recognized in that capacity. So that is the end of our presentation, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. And thank you for your time.